I've always been fascinated by places that have been abandoned or left derelict for years. I think it's the uncertainty of what might be lurking around every corner that attracts me to them so much. It wasn't until recently, however, that I came across some truly terrifying accounts of ghosts that are said to haunt these forgotten locations. So today, I'm going to be reading some scary ghost stories from abandoned places. These are actual places you can visit if you dare. These chilling tales come from a book called Ghosts of the Forgotten: True Tales from Abandoned Places. This is a collection of 34 ghostly stories from all over the world about locations that are now abandoned, dilapidated, or simply forgotten. What makes this book unique is that each story is accompanied by a beautiful and haunting photograph and a map showing exactly where to find these forsaken places. The first story comes from an old prison called the Caledonia Institution for Girls, which is now a crumbling ruin in New York. It says, while visiting the ruins of the Caledonia Institution for Girls with a group of friends in June of 2006, I heard the rattling of a nearby chain. I stopped and listened, and then began recording with my digital recorder. As you listen, you will hear the sounds of dragging metal moans, what sounds like footsteps dragging themselves up the stairs, and finally, there is a loud bang at the end. The chain dragging was recorded twice, and the bang happened only once. Accompanying this account is a photograph taken inside one of the prison cells. In it, we see an old metal bed frame and the rusted remnants of a cot. What really catches our attention, though, is the dark, ominous shape standing in the corner of the room. Is it a person or something else entirely? The next story takes us to an abandoned house in Massachusetts, known as the Troll House. It reads, I visited the Troll House with 2 other paranormal investigators. We were exploring the top floor when we heard screams coming from the back bedroom. At first, the screams were soft, but they became louder and more violent. We hid under the bed in that room, and they continued for about 20 minutes. We also took pictures and videos while we were hiding, and later found a shadowy figure in the video that we believe was the source of the screams. Alongside this, there is a picture of the group investigating the bedroom with their equipment. And indeed, when you look closely at the video footage playing on the screen, there does seem to be a dark humanoid shape standing in the corner of the room. Our third story is from Waverly Hills Sanatorium, a place I've talked about before and is said to be one of the most haunted places in America. It says, while exploring the tunnels beneath the sanatorium, my friend and I heard scratching and what sounded like screams in the darkness ahead of us. When we shone our flashlights in that direction, the noise stopped immediately. We continued walking, and the same thing happened several times. When we reached the end of the tunnel, we saw a door that had not been there before. It was made of concrete and was unmarked. Curiosity got the better of us, and we tried to open it, but it would not budge. After taking a few pictures, the door seemed to grow darker, and we ran from the building. Accompanying this chilling account is a photograph of the tunnel entrance. But what is even more interesting is that in another image taken just a few feet away, we see the concrete door that the author mentioned. This next one is from an abandoned mental hospital in Athens, Georgia, known as the Georgia Warm Springs Village. It reads, my friend and I were walking through a dormitory in the abandoned section of the village when we heard heavy footsteps coming from the far end of the hall. We looked at each other and started to run in the opposite direction. As we turned to look back, we saw what looked like a shadow figure running toward us down the hallway. It moved faster than anyone could ever move, and it disappeared into the wall at the end of the hall. To this day, I don't know what we saw, but I know it was extremely scary. Alongside this is a picture of the abandoned hallway. The shadow figure isn't visible in the photo, but it's hard to escape the feeling that something sinister is lurking just out of sight. Another story comes from the village of Pyramos, which was evacuated in the early 90s after a nearby gas plant threatened the safety of its residents. It says, a local resident told me that she had never seen a ghost until she visited Pyramos. She and her son were looking around a house when they heard a knock on the stairs. They found the source to be a rocking chair moving by itself up and down the stairs. Then they saw a woman in an old nightgown walking slowly toward them. She stopped and stared at them for a moment, then walked past them and disappeared. Next to this story is a photograph of a staircase leading up to a landing. But what draws our attention is the empty rocking chair at the top of the stairs. This next tale is from an abandoned insane asylum known as the Retreat for the Sick in Asheville, North Carolina. It reads, I was exploring the old kitchen when I heard what sounded like a woman screaming and crying. I followed the sound and found the basement door wide open. I went down the steps and heard whispering voices coming from the far end of the basement. I shone my light in that direction and saw 3 shadow figures standing in front of me. They vanished after about 30 seconds, and when I went to investigate further, I found nothing. Alongside this, there is a picture of the cellar door that the author mentioned, and although no figures are visible in the photograph, the sense of unease is palpable nonetheless. Our penultimate story is from a creepy old house in Indiana, known as the Zollner House. It says, "One evening while exploring the house, I heard what sounded like whispers coming from the parlor. There was no one else in the house, and the windows and doors were all closed. I walked into the parlor and there was a rocking chair moving by itself on the far side of the room. I watched it for a few moments, but it stopped rocking as soon as I approached it. Moments later, I heard a loud bang from upstairs, followed by footsteps in the hallway. I turned and ran as fast as I could to get out of the house." Accompanying this account is a photograph of the rocking chair sitting in the corner of the room, and when you look closely, you can see that it's gently rocking back and forth. Finally, we have a story from an abandoned theme park in Texas, known as Six Flags Astro World. It reads, "As I was walking through the decaying shopping street, I heard what sounded like children laughing and playing. I stopped and listened, and then began recording with my digital recorder. As you listen, you will hear what sounds like children running and playing. I explored the area, but found no one. I hope you enjoy the sounds of childhood joy from beyond the grave." Accompanying this account is a photograph of the abandoned street with its shops and rides left to decay. But when you listen closely to the audio clip that the author refers to, it seems as though we really are hearing the faint sounds of children at play. All of these stories are absolutely terrifying and really make you question what goes on in these abandoned places. I don't know about you, but I definitely wouldn't want to spend the night in any of them. Let me know in the comments below if you'd be brave enough to visit any of these places. And if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.